Hello, my name is Allison Carmen, and welcome to my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. And the name of today's podcast, Do You Have Enough Boundaries to Be Happy? And this has been on my mind lately since I saw on Instagram Brene Brown being interviewed. And this is what she basically said. When someone asks her to do something, she spins her ring 3 times before she answers, and she calls it her boundary ring. And as she is spinning her ring, she asks herself a very simple question. Is she going to choose discomfort over resentment? And towards the end of the conversation, she asks, how do we do things without resentment? And she says, it takes boundaries. And then Brene says, if we take anything from the authenticity piece, it's about the courage to be imperfect, to be vulnerable, and to set boundaries. Because the whole idea of being enough is saying enough. It struck me so powerfully because sometimes we don't make the right decision. Being uncomfortable makes us so afraid. Being uncomfortable makes us feel like we're not okay. It makes us feel like people aren't going to like us anymore. We're going to lose opportunities. We're going to be alone. We're not going to have the life that we want. And we don't realize that discomfort doesn't mean that. That discomfort is just a feeling when we make another choice that someone else might not be happy about. But when we make the right choices for ourselves, it's like that story about when you're on the airplane and the oxygen mask comes down. I used to always think it was selfish to think about putting the mask on myself first. But then at some point in life, you realize that if you're not well, if you're not strong, if you're not centered, if you're not living your authentic life, then you're missing out and the world is missing out on your greatest gifts, your greatest ability to love, to create, to manifest. And that's when everybody in the world benefits because you're being exactly who you are. What I also found very interesting is that I don't think it's always between resentment and being uncomfortable. I think if you have a good sense of self and then you do things that you don't want to do and you have a clear sense of that, you're going to resent the situation and the people you said yes to. But a lot of us are insecure, we're codependent, we're deep people pleasers. We don't even get to resentment. We think it's our job and our responsibility to make sure everybody else is okay, everybody else is happy. So when we don't pick our boundaries and we don't stay uncomfortable, we're not going to be angry. We're just going to be in this constant place where we are far from ourselves, serving others, but not to the best of our ability, and perhaps not what's best for ourselves, and often not what's best for others. I used to think that helping somebody was always the right thing, but sometimes people need to be responsible for themselves. The greatest lesson is for them to take responsibility, and that's the greatest way that we could be kind, is to be there for somebody, but also let them have their own experience. So basically, there's this place of discomfort and boundaries. When we don't adhere to it, we can either resent the people around us, resent the situations because we know we're not doing what we really want to do, but we didn't want to feel uncomfortable, or we feel so little about ourselves. We feel that we're responsible for everyone else, that we say yes and all we do is we deplete ourselves. And again, it just takes us away from our own truth, our own strength, and our own way of being in the world, which really is the most beneficial. So why this is so important is that when we don't have boundaries, we give a sense of ourselves away. When we don't have boundaries, we're not authentic, we're not true, we're not honest. We don't get to do the things we want in our lives. We don't develop ourselves. And again, we're not putting our oxygen mask on first. Therefore, we are not giving the world our best selves. We're not giving it to ourselves. We're not going to be able to give it to everyone else. And I love the fact that Brene gave us a path. But before I talk about the path, I just want to talk about one more thing. And that feeling of discomfort is really about our feeling of uncertainty. That feeling of discomfort is because if we make another choice, will people still love us? Will we still have friends? Will our life still work out? And we forget that when we turn towards ourselves, we turn towards the light, we open our heart, and we're aligned with who we truly are. That is when we step into our lives. That's when we create the life we dreamed of, and that's when everybody benefits. Because we're living a more heart-based life. But also, We know the unknown future is our best friend. We know that uncertainty will work in our favor if we are aligned with our true self, if we're not afraid not to know, if we're not afraid of the future that is meant for us. So that discomfort in that moment, if we know that it's our divine right to feel it and to open up and to step into it, then we're really opening up to the infinite possibilities of our lives. And that's again why I talk about maybe all the time, because we get scared of the discomfort. We're feeling if we don't please everyone else, if we don't do for everyone else, if we take care of them instead of ourselves, there will be no one left in our lives. We won't achieve things. How can we have the life that we want if we put our life vest on first? And like I said, but when we align with ourselves, the truth comes out. And often we might choose to help people out. That might be aligned with ourselves. When we align with ourselves, I think we're more giving. But we also know what we can and can't do. So this relationship with uncertainty is center stage. And go back to the other podcast where I talk about the maybe practice. You ask yourself your biggest fear. You know there's not a fear that's absolute. You cannot know what's going to happen next. And because you can't know, you embrace the maybe. Maybe it's okay I say no. Maybe it's okay if I stay home today and take care of myself. Maybe I can love myself a little bit more and know what's mine to take care of and what the other person really needs to do. So you use the maybe for hope, you use the maybe for acceptance, and you use the maybe to go back to yourself and really understand how you feel. And it's so wonderful that Brene also gives us a step that we can use a ring, a bracelet, a breath to reflect back and ask this wonderful, beautiful question. Am I about to say yes to this job, to this favor, to this date, to this anything? Because I'm afraid to be uncomfortable, because I'm worried if I say no, what will happen to my life? Or am I saying yes because I want to do it? Am I saying yes because my compassion is overflowing? Am I saying yes because I really want to help this person from the deepest place of my heart? This is what aligns with me today. Is me saying yes loving myself? Is me saying yes creating resentment or creating peace? You get to ask yourself these questions, and then you enter the truth. No resentment, no low self-worth, and a beautiful boundary. Believe it or not, our lives work out better when we have good boundaries. We rest when we need to rest. We do when we need to do. We make better choices in our lives. And when we make better choices, the people that we meet are more aligned. The things that we do are more aligned. And sometimes other people are meant to do things themselves. They're meant to be responsible. And sometimes we're meant to help. It's all a balance. But it comes with a good boundary. And I did not have good boundaries for most of my life. I overgave, I oversaid, I overdid. And as I look at myself today, do I give less? No. Do I care less? No. But I love myself more, so everything I do, I show up more solid, I show up more effective, I show up more authentic, and things just work out better for everyone involved. So I hope you think about this. I hope you think about why you say yes to things every day. And how are you walking around, and where's your heart, and where do you need boundaries? So you could set up your life so your life works better, so you feel better. And then when you decide to act, it's from your heart, it's from alignment, and I guarantee your life will flow better. You'll be more abundant, you'll be more joyful, and you won't be afraid to be uncomfortable. Because you know that discomfort is not bad. Discomfort is just the beginning of something new. And again, uncertainty is your best friend. And because we don't know what's going to happen next, we can always remember that maybe the best is yet to come. Thank you for listening to this podcast today. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you could email me at allison@allisoncarmen.com. And if you'd like to buy my books, The Gift of Maybe or Year Without Men, they're available at all major bookstores and online retailers. And if you'd like to listen to my new audiobook for The Gift of Maybe, it's available on all major audio platforms. And my new Maybe cards and my new Maybe digital journal is available on my Stan store, which you can access through my Instagram or TikTok account. Also, it's available on Amazon and Etsy. And most of all, if you like this podcast, I hope you subscribe and leave a comment.